to abandon ship.
Oh no!
Here we go!
Can I persuade you to join us for a drink? It's a tradition.
Here, here.
Jar Jar, homie, my main man, quickly. Before the Separatists attack, get into the escape pod.
Hey! This is escape, and we're the pod.
Welcome back to Star Wars Escape Pod and another after show for Ahsoka, which is currently running on Disney Plus. And this is our review for episode 4, I guess, Ahsoka Part 4. This episode is called Fallen Jedi. We have a few people joining us on the podcast today, including a new guest of ours, which we're really excited to introduce to you. So we got our co-host Blake, our friend Dan, and our new guest Kyle from ALKY Solutions. So we're going to be chatting about Ahsoka together. And without further ado, let's get into it.
Another happy landing.
Welcome back, Blake.
Hello there. Good to be here as always.
Hello there. Yeah, good to have you back. And, we're running the 4th part to our Ahsoka Aftershow this week with our good friend Dan. Hello, welcome back, Dan.
Hello. Thanks for having me back.
Oh, thanks for coming back as always. And this week is pretty exciting because we have a guest joining us this week. Welcome to the podcast, Kyle.
Hello there. Thank you very much for having me today.
Yeah, thanks for coming on and chatting some Ahsoka with us. And, it's kind of just a funny story of how we met at Fan Expo. And I don't know, maybe would you like to just kind of elaborate on perhaps what you do for a living, what your company is, and what you guys specialize in and all that? Yeah.
For sure. So, I'm actually owner part owner with my girlfriend of a lightsaber company that's based out of Vancouver. So it's all it's all Canadian, but we have some of the nicest hilts that you can get on the market, and it's all at Canadian prices. So we just run that. We travel all over Canada, introduce people to lightsabers, and we just try to make sure that people can just get the ones that they really truly love. So, and something that's really cool is actual actors from Star Wars use some of our lightsabers for going to hospitals or different different things like that. So we really are proud about our product and everything. And we happened to meet at the Fan Con. And when we met at the Fan Con, it was really cool because you guys had that set up there, and I ended up taking some pictures in it and learning about you guys. And so that was just really cool.
Yeah, it was pretty nice to kind of see what you guys are, what the hilts that you guys have are super sweet, by the way. Like, they're quality stuff. And
thank you.
So I'm definitely looking forward to chatting with you guys more about that down the road. We're gonna have a special lightsaber featured podcast episode with you guys, and that's pretty much what we're going to talk about for a good hour. So it's nice to kind of get you on a bit earlier, and we could just talk about sort of probably why the reason why you're probably selling lightsabers is your love of Star Wars, and we get into some Ahsoka this week. So that's pretty exciting. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you again.
What I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna read out the stats for the credits and the summary for this podcast, or for this Ahsoka episode in front of us here, and then we can just kind of get into the notes that we had, things we liked, things we didn't like. We'll give the episode our rating, which I'll explain to everybody who's new as to what our Pablo points and poodo's rating system is all about. And then we'll tie things up in a neat little bow. So this is part 4 of Ahsoka. It's called Fallen Jedi. It was directed by Peter Ramsey, written by Dave Filoni, released September 5th, 2023 on Disney Plus. And Ahsoka thinks about the implications of reaching Thrawn and Ezra Bridger. Given Ren's pause since she remains determined to find her friend, moments later they are attacked by several of Skull's forces, but they're able to hold them off. Fearing that Skull will acquire the coordinates to Thrawn's location, Ahsoka and Ren head to his base, but are intercepted by Hati and Marrok. Ahsoka kills Marrok and continues on alone, while Ren stays behind to hold off Shin Hati, who realizes that Ren cannot wield the Force. Ahsoka reaches Balin's skull and the two engage in a duel. Ahsoka is able to retrieve the map, but she tosses it aside after it burns her hand. Skull overpowers and sends Ahsoka plummeting into the ocean as Ren watches in horror. Ren then holds the map at gunpoint, but Skull verbally manipulates her into handing it over by promising her that she will see Ezra Bridger again. After Thrawn's location is revealed, Skull destroys the map and boards the Eye of Sion with Hati and Ren as their prisoner. A small fleet of New Republic fighters led by Hera Syndulla arrives at Cetos and tries to stop the freighter from jumping into hyperspace, but fails to do so. Meanwhile, Ahsoka awakens in the world between worlds, where she is seemingly reunited with her former master, Anakin Skywalker. Wow.
You can see where we left off, like the next one's going to be in theaters.
Yeah. You know, it's just kind of crazy to think that the next one is in theaters. Just, I think, you know, they leave us on a cliffhanger like that, and it's like, okay, yeah, fans are going to want to see this on a big screen. So
I hope it's just her and Anakin for the entire episode. That's it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that would be good.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as like just the hype event of kind of what this means for fans, I mean, this is sort of a dream come true, because this is Dave Filoni bringing Anakin Skywalker to cinemas for the first time since George Lucas brought Anakin to cinemas in Revenge of the Sith and Attack of the Clones.
It's an Obi-Wan. What are you talking about?
Yeah, in cinemas.
Oh, cinema. Do you think that's why?
I think so. I think he wants to be the next
bragging
guy.
rights?
I mean, like, no one else jumped on the opportunity. They could have. Force Ghost Anakin and pretty much all of the sequels. Like, nope.
It's interesting. Because we're also at this point where Star Wars went super hard into the Disney Plus world, and now they're... Didn't they mention movies the last celebration? Trying to inch their way back?
Yeah, they announced a few movies. Yeah.
So this could be a foot in the door situation too.
Yeah, could be, I guess. Kyle, what did you think? Your initial impressions, like watching this episode. What do you think of the series so far? Since we haven't heard your opinion on the series yet.
Oh, no problem. So far, well, absolutely loving it. And even for just this episode, I mean, it got 100% on Netflix. On Disney, and that right there says like how good this is. And one of my I gotta be honest, my favorite stuff that Dave Filoni has done is when you see the lightsaber battles and looking at Balin and how if you got a blaster and you're against him, you are not hitting that guy.
Right.
Like that to me is he's one of the best that I've seen, and it's the cinematics of it are mind blowing. I love what they're doing, especially with Ahsoka.
Yeah. It's such the way that I have thought about this series is it's up there with my favorites, which I mean I really enjoy Mandalorian a lot, but as far as kind of the production quality and sort of the Star Wars stories that we're getting out of it, Andor has so far kind of been a standout show for me to appreciate in a different way than this show. Like this show really captures the mythological kind of Jedi side of Star Wars, whereas Andor is a lot more kind of that espionage kind of like rebellion,
it's
sort of
like gritty,
the
day-to-day life kind of people you're dealing with.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the day-to-day realities of the average person, right?
Yeah, I love that they're bringing that in.
Oh, totally, yeah. Dan, what do you think of this one?
I really enjoyed it. Like, Balin is such a cool character, and I'm loving him. And it's so bittersweet having with the actor having passed away.
Oh man, yeah.
Like he doesn't get to see like the love he's getting from the fans right now. But it's like, yeah, it's just he's such a cool character. I love the way he's like the old school Jedi. Like his armor makes him look like a knight. The way he carries the lightsaber, using it, it's like a sword, like a giant broadsword. Like he's just he's a cool character.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Yeah, I've liked him a lot as well. Because I wasn't too sure going in. I know from the trailers and stuff, like it was just wrapping my head around this new like force wielder bad guy. I feel like just kind of roped in out of nowhere, but so far he's really hit home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fully agree on that. He's one of the best characters I've seen in a long time. For me.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it is bittersweet that he's not. The fate of this character nobody knows. But
yeah,
it makes me curious. Like, what would they do if
Well, my hunch was he was supposed to be the replacement for the Jedi, the Dark Jedi, Fallen Jedi that went insane working with Thrawn in the Heir of the Empire book trilogy.
Okay.
But instead of having Shin as apprentice in the novels, he had a clone of Luke Skywalker.
Gotcha.
Oh, I knew about that. The clone of Skywalker, yeah.
Yeah, they cloned him from his hand. But so they spelled it Luke with 2 U's. Luke.
That's how you tell them apart. Okay.
That's right. What was his name? Like Kyboth? George Kyboth or something? The original.
Oh, I forget now. But I just remember hearing the story.
Yeah. Didn't he have a first name?
Yeah, I don't remember what it is.
Like,
I'll look it up.
It starts with a J, I think.
I think so too.
Yeah. I do like the idea that this is kind of like a parallel to that character in a way.
And they keep saying the term bring back Thrawn as heir to the Empire.
They do.
Like
and I love it
every episode.
Every single time I love it.
I do too.
Every single time I'm like under the, I'm just like, yeah. Just a little fist pump.
Yeah. Joris Kyboth.
Joris.
We were close.
Right.
Yes, that's it, Joris. I literally just found that too I just went to the Wikipedia.
Yep, that's what I got from too.
I know Dan, I know I asked you this before, but maybe you can just share with me again, what was the first Star Wars book that you ever read?
Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
Okay, Kyle, was that the first book that you ever read? Did you ever read any of the Star Wars books back in the day?
No. Back in the day, see now, it's weird how I got into Star Wars and stuff like that. It actually happened from when I left the military. I had a hard time, and I saw the movie while I was in the hospital, and that's actually where it started for me. And it literally changed my life. So like 2 hours of watching that movie, 8 years of hard work, and now I have a lightsaber company. But when it came to Star Wars when I was younger, like I watched the movies and I enjoyed them, but it wasn't until I was in the hospital and I saw that movie that Star Wars absolutely changed my life. So when it came to the books, I do have a bunch of comics that I've been collecting, and I kind of read one here and there now and then, but I haven't really read any of the books yet.
Gotcha.
Well, that's a pretty cool story if you ask me.
That's definitely got some like personal emotional ties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. And the first movie they played was Attack of the Clones. So I saw him.
Oh man, that's the one that got you in.
And I was like,
the last one I would have guessed. Yeah, oh man.
That's amazing.
Dude. Yeah. And the coolest part is at the fan con in Calgary, I actually got to tell him that story and give him a big hug. We hung out for like 10 minutes. He was super nice, and it was almost like a full circle thing for me. Like Star Wars really helped save me and bring me back to being a kind of a humble dude. And yeah, just to be able to tell him, oh dude, it was really cool. And get this, he actually held the Darth Vader lightsaber that we had with us. And so his fingerprints are still on it. A guy offered me $8,000. He goes, "Is this fingerprints on that?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "I'll give you $8,000." I go, "There's no way, man.
That's crazy.
There's no way I can sell this."
Yeah, that's amazing.
So we actually, dude, when we go to conventions, we put it on the table and we have it there with like a thing that says, "Please don't touch it." And everybody's been super cool about it. And then there's a picture of him holding it right behind it.
Nice.
And that's like, yeah.
You gotta put that in a glass case.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You gotta make sure no one touches
we're gonna do it. Well, we're definitely going to do that. And then I'm going to have him sign the case, and I'll have the picture in there with it. So I figured that, and that'll just be for my personal collection.
Oh yeah.
You know, like,
and then you
yeah,
should maybe if, I don't know if he's ever been arrested, but he has. You should find his fingerprints that they took and put it side by side to like look the match. Or
that'd be hilarious. I'd be like, "Could you just hold this glass for me for a moment, please?" You know. And then,
the next
You
the
clone
next
him
time,
now.
yeah.
the next time you see me, like,
I've
hey,
had so
can you
many people tell me I should
just
clone him.
can you just spit in this little
Come,
vial for me?
Hayden.
Get his DNA, you know.
Would you mind using this mouth swab?
Yeah.
Would you mind lending a singular hair to me?
Don't even
Yeah,
ask. Just
I got
clip it
tweezers.
off.
I'll pluck it out myself right
Yeah.
now. It's cool, man. I got
Security.
Yeah.
Not creepy at all.
This. Yeah, not creepy at all. No.
Star Wars fans.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But
No, I
man,
feel
so
it.
it was dope. It was really dope to be able to just talk to him and tell him that sort of stuff. So
That's super cool.
that's where my Star Wars came from. So
Did
thank you. I get this. My cat's name is actually Ahsoka, and we keep saying Ahsoka, and she's freaking the hell out over here.
I gotta ask because he's a guy, he's a Vancouverite, you know, so like how I'm kind of you know, he's on the east side of Canada now, but I don't know, who knows where he hangs out these days because he's got a kid that he co-parents and everything. Do you know, did he ever mention, maybe you can ask him at some point, like how many years, you know, between what year and what year was he like in Vancouver? Because I feel like if he is still weirdly, if he is still kind of, if he spends time here,
He might have family here.
Here's the thing. Every once in a while, you do hear of like, you know, whispers of like, oh, somebody that looked like Hayden was over here or something like that. Like you do hear that. But I've never seen photos of him in the place. You know what I mean? Like I've just heard stuff.
Yeah, since
So
he
I'm
got
sure he
out of
comes
acting,
back every
he's
once in
kind
a
of
while.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying, yeah, you're right. He's kind of a recluse almost.
He's like
you
a
know what I mean?
ghost.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, like the phantom of, oh, he was at that Starbucks, really? You know?
Yeah, you know, it's he's one of those guys that he's so elusive to sort of the just the press and you know and the fans and, you know that I feel like that's what kind of brings on more of this obsession to kind of you know know more about him, you know what I mean, like I want to know more
that's
about
very
the guy.
true.
I mean,
That's
just,
very true.
Yeah, I don't
It's
know.
a mystery.
Kind of eggs me on. I'm like, I want to hang out with this guy. Like, but I don't know where.
Dude, the 10 minutes that I got with him was just awesome. So I was blown away for even just for those 10 minutes. And so yeah, like just sit down and actually have like a conversation with the guy or something like that. Like, you know, over dinner or something like that would just be mind blowing.
Yeah,
cool.
I know. Yeah. Oh yeah. He's on my list of you know priority dinner guests. That's for sure.
You gotta.
Oh hell yeah!
Gotta ask him, what do you do when George says faster and more intense, but you're already at your max?
So many questions. Man. So many questions. Yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
Jeez. Yeah. So this episode was pretty crazy because we got to see him, and I got a little audio bite here. Let me just play it in 1 second.
Master?
I didn't expect to see you so soon.
Anakin.
Ending off with the Darth Vader theme. That's pretty crazy. Man, I gotta say the de-aging on this version was so much better.
Oh yeah, I think they just didn't bother in Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
But people
I don't think
complained.
they did either.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
I mean, when you looked at him, you're going, yeah, he's not 20 anymore.
I know.
Yeah, in the Attack of the Clones sort of ish era flashback scene, I was like, oh, you can really tell that he's not the kid that he used to be, right? He's definitely aged.
Maybe he's always looked like that. It's just now we can see him in HD.
Yeah,
that's right, 4K.
That's right. Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I've got the upscale versions. Like, yeah, no, he looks a lot better. Although I do see people complaining about it. Naturally.
In this version,
yeah,
I thought it was a little rough. Like it just looked a little too smooth.
Too smooth.
Do you prefer the wrinkly Anakin? Smoker Anakin?
It just looked like it was, you could tell it was CG to DH him.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess you could tell there was something going on there, almost like you can with Luke, but it's just it's just so good that it's like
you're just excited, Josh. You couldn't.
It's just
see flaws.
I'm just glad that it's not the Obi-Wan version of the de-aging, because that was just like, I don't know what they did with that version. It's
I think they did nothing.
That one was really bad. That one was really bad. Like I didn't mind the Luke one, and I didn't mind Annie in this one. That was okay, but yeah, the one that they put in Obi, no, that was horrible. That was really bad.
Just they left the lines on either side of his mouth, the kind
forehead.
of lines that you only get when you age, right? Like, and then his forehead, they left all those wrinkles as well. So I don't know, like when he was a kid, he had pretty like taut skin, like he was like 19, right? Like he was.
What is this podcast about again?
Yeah, what is this about? Where are we going?
He was
what
like 19
hole
years
is this?
old. Yeah, like
this is my first one. I didn't know we went down this path.
Man.
It's funny. The second I saw Anakin, I was like, I wish I saw Josh's face right now. Like I knew like you were gonna be all over. Anakin making an appearance.
Yeah, it was good. It was good stuff. I was digging it. But I mean, like, let's talk about the world between worlds for a second there, because this final scene happened in this place that's been so elusive to so many Star Wars stories. It hasn't really showed up a whole lot. The first time we ever saw this was in Star Wars Rebels in the season 4 arc, which you and I have still yet to record a Rebels Talk episode.
I watched that episode last night.
Oh, there we go.
Coincidentally.
Nice. So it was towards the end of season 4, and Ezra Bridger and Sabine, they find a doorway which has the figureheads of Mortis kind of on the wall, and they act as like a gateway to let in people into this kind of mystical realm, and it's on the side of the wall of like the Lothal Jedi Temple, which continually seems to have more mysteries about it. And so Ezra ends up in this place, and he's able to reach in through a portal and grab Ahsoka out of there and save her before Darth Vader kills her, essentially, right? Which is also a pretty crazy thing, because this feels like the first time that Ahsoka's seen or heard from Anakin since that duel. So like, whatever chill you get down your spine with that thought in mind. I mean, like, how crazy is that? But that was the last time that she was in this place, right? And then she went back out through that doorway, skipping over her kind of death scene or whatever, and that's kind of how she survived. And it's sort of a mystery as to where she goes, and maybe if she's been to the world between worlds since that event, or not. Like, we don't really know. But this is either the second or the third time that she's kind of come to this place. And I mean, I kind of wonder how she got there. But
that's what I was wondering, because in the Rebels episode, they unearthed the temple, the Empire did, but then the Rebels, specifically Ezra, goes down and he actually activates it by using the Force on the mural.
The doorway.
Yeah, which activates the doorway.
Yeah.
But in this case, she just appears there after falling off a cliff.
Yeah.
Wasn't her owl in the same place when she was there?
Her owl was in the episode. Yeah.
So Rebels, maybe the owl pulled her into it when she was falling off the cliff.
Maybe.
Did we see her owl in this episode?
We haven't seen it.
We haven't seen it yet.
No. Yeah, and I think
there's speculation that there's a shot when they're in the forest and the robots are attacking the ship, there's a camera angle that's high up in the trees, looking at the ship and looking at Huyang. Some people are saying like, oh, maybe that's from the owl's perspective. Which, I don't know. It's kind of a stretch, but
it is a bit of a stretch. But hey, it's a working theory.
If
for
you
now,
slow it
I
down,
guess.
you can see the edges of
Yeah.
feathers flapping in and out of the edge of camera.
I have good faith that Dave will bring in Morai. The bird's name is Morai, right?
That sounds right.
Yeah, the story behind the bird is that it's sort of the remaining force essence of the daughter of Mortis, who
One more than that, because they actually talk about this in the Rebels episode. Let's pull up my other notes.
yeah, there was an episode where they mentioned that, didn't they?
Specifically, yeah. It's
It was in the World Between Worlds.
It was, yeah. Because
And Ezra asks about Morai the bird, and she says, "Oh, she's an old friend."
yeah.
And
But the Imperial, because that's all Ahsoka says is an old friend, but the Imperial who's researching the Mortis family, he says that the daughter sometimes takes on the form of an owl as a spirit animal.
right, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
The daughter is in the form of an owl when acting as a spirit guide. Sorry. That's
right. There you go. Yeah, small little kind of confirmation there that whatever life force up there was left. When they left Mortis, she kind of, I guess,
because she gave her life to save Ahsoka.
she did. Yeah. Well, the life that she had left, because I think she was dying as well. Anyways, and it was just like whatever she had left in her body. The father and Anakin transferred it over to Ahsoka's dead body. Brought her back.
So much happened to those Clone Wars episodes.
Yeah.
Because then she died, which left the brother and the father who also died, and that's why
They've got a special bond.
the
right?
dark side
Like,
took over for
yeah.
the Empire.
They've got a special
Wait.
bond.
Okay, I know this. Yeah, I was gonna say I know this. That's the one where that's the planet that was basically the Force, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was like this giant pyramid planet that kind of
I've seen that one. Yeah.
pops in and out whenever, yeah. The whole place is sort of kind of gone. It sort of gets destroyed by the end of the episode. And it acts as like a conduit to the Force, like Qui-Gon sort of puts it. He describes it as like a magnet. And so it's not literally, it's not the Force itself, but it's like a parallel, like a representation of the Force and how it kind of goes through these cycles and how these figureheads, the light and the dark, similar, like the day becomes the night, and then at nighttime everything dies, and then the daytime everything comes back to life again. It's this very like odd place, but it's so cool.
Yeah.
Like it's so like almost like weirdly Shakespearean, like the way that the whole plot kind of works out, and how Anakin sees his future, and then the father erases it from his mind because he knows that it's not gonna that will happen to him, but if he already knows that going into it, it's going to change the course of history, and that can't happen. So he like resets him and stuff like that. So all this crazy stuff going on, right? But it's kind of interesting to know that like there's this question that's left with us, like at the end of the arc. It's like, oh, did this actually happen? Because like the characters are like asking themselves, like, oh wow, like what the heck happened, right? Like maybe that was all in our heads or what. And I guess just this bird is sort of like physical kind of confirmation. Like, no, this happened to them. Like, this is the daughter kind of still protecting Ahsoka in a way, many years later. And she hasn't shown up in the show yet, but I'm wondering if Dave is maybe saving it for like that special moment, right?
Yeah, that's weird because that means technically last time we've seen the bird was in the comics, right? Isn't there like artwork or something where like Ahsoka is like after fighting Vader going into a cave or something?
Yeah.
Because
Dave
is in that scene.
Dave did some drawings of Ahsoka in his notebook or in his sketchbook. And I think the only sort of published material that they became was on the Topps trading cards. And there was like 4 or 6 of these things, and they were all in like red and black and white color schemes.
That's what I remember is that.
Yeah. And it sort of depicted what happened to her after she left the World Between Worlds, after Ahsoka pulled her out. So like Ezra, yeah. So Ezra saves her, right? And then she leaves. And then there's this moment where at the very end of the season 2 finale, like we see her walking through a triangular doorway in a cave.
Mm-hmm.
And then we don't really know what happens to her. And then she shows up at the end of season 4, and she's got the big the white robe, and she's got the staff.
Gandalf the White.
Gandalf the White, rocking the Gandalf the White look. And and then from there, we get the Ahsoka show. And there's still a debate whether or not like that scene is supposed to be the same scene that we see in episode 2 of Ahsoka.
It is, dude. Just accept it.
I think it's a parallel, man.
No, it's not.
I don't know. I'm still on the parallel bench. But Kyle, what do you think about that? Because I know Dan and Blake here are thinking it's the same scene that we see at the end of Star Wars Rebels season 4 as the same scene in the end of episode, like part 2 of Ahsoka. Like, do you think it's the same scene, or do you think it's a parallel scene?
Look, and this is actually pretty good, because I've only ever seen that episode once, and I've only watched the episode of Ahsoka once, and I was like, wow, I saw this before. So I'm thinking that it's if it's a parallel, then they did really well. But I think it's the same thing, because when I looked at it, to me, I was like, I've seen this before. Yeah. So it had to have been that.
There's only one small difference, which it doesn't seem completely out of line for Dave to change things up. But I mean, she doesn't have the Gandalf the White look going on in the live action version, and that for me is sort of the biggest separation. Which my theory, right, is that because we don't actually we don't have any story with Ahsoka and Sabine, in their master and apprentice relationship, like all Star Wars stories so far, it's kind of skipped over that. So my theory was that final scene is kind of a in Rebels, at least that's already happened, right? And then in the Ahsoka show, when Ahsoka has to go back for her, like it's almost like they've already gone out and attempted trying to find Ezra Bridger. And to me, I just kind of read that scene of like, oh, this is them kind of doing it again, but for like it's coming around differently, sort of thing, like it's like a parallel scene. They're going after it again. They're giving another shot, but I think it might be 2 different moments. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Like the rest of the show will kind of maybe explain that. What actually maybe if there's no explanation, maybe it is supposed to be the same scene. Who knows? But anyways. What would you guys like to see, knowing that Hayden Christensen's in the show now? Like we pretty much have so many possibilities as what we're going to see next week. Like, I'm just kind of curious, like, what did you guys, any hopes?
Before we get into that, I want to figure out a timeline. I think we talked about this, but I've already forgotten. Where does this take place compared to the novel where the ghost of Anakin saves Luke?
This show is like 11 ABY as what people have been estimating based on what's been said about it, overlapping season 3 of Mandalorian. So, if we're taking that and running with it, then the scene that Anakin saves Luke is a couple years from now.
Okay.
It's like,
because that's the last time Anakin can appear, because he uses all of his being to save Luke, meaning in the physical world.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, and that was sort of them fixing
why he didn't show up to help Rey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see. Shadows of the Sith.
That's the novel.
It's 13 years prior to The Force Awakens. So yeah, the book takes place. So yeah, just about like 5 to 7 years after this moment, after Ahsoka.
Okay, so it's that's our window.
Basically. It's a bit of a ways off. Yeah. Yeah. What are you hoping to see?
I'd like to have them actually talk about what happened, because there's so much lingering, I think, in their relationship between when she left the Order and then when they saw each other as when he was Darth Vader.
Yeah, I wonder if there's going to be some sort of apology, with Anakin and with Ahsoka. Like, I don't know. I would love to see them have a personal moment of like, acknowledging the fact that, you know, they were each trying to kill each other like a couple
Oh.
couple of years prior.
Okay, I'm kind of down a different path here. Is like I you know, that would be nice if he apologized, of course, for that and everything, right? But I want to see, you know, scenes that weren't in the, you know, in the Clone War cartoon shows where it's like because you know how Ahsoka was like, oh, I did this, but I didn't really do it the Jedi way, right? I want to see where he's teaching her some of those things that are going to progress her, you know, her life throughout this series. So I want to see something that's like, you know, this is, you know, this not every Jedi, this isn't the Jedi way, but it, you know, it works. And I want to see him doing that and adding to the confusion of, you know, the Jedi Order and everything that went through her all the way to the point of when she walked away from it. You know, so, but I want to be able to see some of these ones that were able to progress more for her older life. Because a lot of the ones that they showed there were, at the time, her being younger, that sort of thing. I want to see the life lessons that he taught her that she remembers now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point to make. Yeah, Dan, what about you? What are you hoping to see?
Like, yeah, I think like an apology, like them just discussing like what happened between them and everything, but I don't think he's going to have much to do beyond their conversation. And then I think he's going to show her the way to get to Thrawn, like, you know, lead her through. That's how she gets to the same place that Sabine's at on the other side of the universe.
Yeah. Actually, that is a really good point. You know, maybe they get to the other side of like the universe through the world between worlds, because we know from Rebels that the Loth wolves were able to transfer them from like the North Hemisphere to the South Hemisphere of Lothal. Just, you know, like that. Right.
So that's, you think, from going from one planet to the other, they'd be able to use that same tech to go farther than any hyperdrive has been able to do?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
anything's possible.
Anything's possible in this place, man. Like,
it's either that or they use the map that she burned into her hand from the orb when she touched it.
You think it's gonna be like an Indiana Jones?
Indiana Jones.
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
That's a possibility.
Hey, George Lucas. Hey, actually, you know something? George Lucas, of course, and Steven Spielberg were friends. Maybe this is Dave Filoni giving his
little nod,
homage back. You know, back there. Watch that be true.
Oh man, yeah. No, I can.
She just puts her hand on the dial.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But it's only got one half, so they go the wrong direction.
I can see
Hey,
that.
There it is. I knew it. Okay, so this is a little bit of a tangent now, but so I just quickly pulled up Twilight of the Apprentice Part 2 from the ending of Season 2 Rebels, and Morai is definitely there after, and she flies after Ahsoka going into the triangular tunnel. So that would be the last time we saw Morai.
I guess it's not like canon material, but it is from Dave's notebook. So like there is a
this is in Rebels.
Oh, and Morai's there, like in the.
Let's see. I don't even know what's.
Yeah, I'm here at StarWars.com and it's saying Morai was in Rebels.
Because I looked up the tops cards and Morai wasn't in it.
Well, Morai was in the World Between Worlds when Ezra pulls her in there, but I guess she would have kind of followed her out, right? And you know,
even though she wasn't there when they were running from Palpatine's blue fire,
right? We got some crazy lightsaber duels in this episode. We got Ahsoka versus Marrok. We got Sabine versus Shin. And then we got Ahsoka versus Baylan Skull. And then Sabine versus Baylan.
You can call it that.
Yeah. What did you guys all? Maybe we can start with you, Kyle, and then Dan, and then Blake. You know, just like give your thoughts on the choreography. Your thoughts on the just how you liked the duels. You know, how they played up on screen for you.
I've been waiting for this part of the conversation. I love the lightsaber battles. Out of everything that happens in Star Wars, the lightsaber battles are where it's at. And the ones in this episode, hands down, second to none. The each and every single one of them, even showing the inexperience of the younger ones fighting each other and the absolute experience of the older ones fighting each other. Like
that was cool.
the battles that were coming out were absolutely epic. And again, as I said, like if you're gonna go against Balin and you have a blaster, there is not a chance in hell you are going to get a shot on that dude. It was so solid. His movements were absolutely epic. He to me is one of the best lightsaber wielders that I've seen on screen. Just the way that he moves it in such a dedicated way and stops and like takes that blaster, instantly moves like a 90-degree and takes that blaster. I was blown away and I absolutely loved it. Yeah, for me, and of course that's why I have a lightsaber company. I love the lightsabers. I love the battles, man. I just want to hear the. That's to me. That's there you go.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But yeah, so that's my opinion. They were absolutely phenomenal. It rivals the Darth Vader from Rogue One. That scene. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
that was pretty dope too. Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a really good job. And that scene you're talking about where Balin is blocking the blaster bolts, I had the exact same opinion. Look, I don't think I've seen blocking that well. Like it looked very crisp.
He was very like kind of solid. You know, he's just like a wall. It's like, okay, nothing's get past.
Because usually they're kind of flaily.
Yeah.
Blocking
like you're doing a swing and all of a sudden you got one. You know what I mean? That's what you normally see. This guy's like, I know where you're going to shoot at me before you shoot at me, and I'm going to stare you directly in your face and not even show an emotion. Take your blaster blade and slice you in two. Now I'm going to do it to your buddy. You know what I mean? Like that's what I
can see why you see the parallel with Vader.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
But he doesn't mask up. He's staring that dude every time you look. He's looking the guy in the face.
Man, the actor
every single one that he takes out. Yeah.
It's such a good job. He just looks so menacing and determined, like just so confident, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Did you like how the other lightsaber duels played out?
For me? Oh yeah. I do. As I said, for the inexperienced ones, you could see where they were kind of battling more on emotion and way less on using the Force for their fight. So you can see you can see how that happens, like with the young ones. I've for our company, we've even had sword fighters fight with our lightsabers and stuff. So I can sometimes look and see like the experienced ones to the inexperienced ones. And yeah, for that, I really did enjoy it. I like it because my daughters are watching it. And my daughters are going, man, these two chicks are really beating on each other. And I got one kid that's a Jedi, and I got the other one that's a freaking Sith. So it's really sweet. They just cheer each other on and like who's going to win. So yeah,
it's awesome. They can recreate this duel.
Yeah, in the backyard, and then one of them will start crying from the beating up Knuckles. You know,
you have no power.
You have no knuckles. Boom.
Oh no.
You know what? I'll send you guys a little video of my kids, and they're actually battling each other, and you'll be like, holy crap, man. They really are Jedi and Sith, and yeah, you'll love it. You'll love it, man.
Oh yeah.
But I'll send that to you guys after.
Oh, it sounds good. Sounds good. Dan, what'd you think of the lightsaber duels?
I thought they're cool. I liked seeing Sabine like resort to her Mandalorian Mandalore abilities, like using the wrist rockets and like the little rope that shoots out, the gadgets, because that's really her strength. Because you did see her finally use a little bit of Force power, but like as Shid said, like you have no power, so she's like, you know what, I'll fall back on the tools that the Mandalorians created to fight Jedi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great.
And point. Then and I liked that we saw some Force powers. Like at one point, Balin throws a chunk of the stone at Ahsoka, and you saw in the Force fight, I think it was Ahsoka grabbed one of the robots and pulled him in the line of fire. Thought that was neat, and I like that Sabine has like a little bit. She's a little more athletic. Like she does like some almost like martial arts and dodging and stuff. The only thing that gets me is anytime they spin, I'm like, okay, I know it looks cool, but anytime you spin in a lightsaber fight, you're just leaving yourself open to attack. Like
that's definitely true.
But it looks cool, so I'm sure that they
That's
do it for
why.
the
It's
nice
because
flourish.
it looks cool. Admittedly, I think those scenes take me out too. And I know they're trying to make it feel like it's the prequels, but the choreography, as far as like the kind of the dancing force, athletics, I feels not quite there. I'm not sure if it's like a budgetary thing. And there's one scene specifically with the duel against Balin,
I have a theory about that.
where Ahsoka tries to jump off a rock and do a backflip, but it looks pretty pathetic.
I have a theory about this because I agree with I agree with all of you guys. Like there's moments that I really loved, right? Like there's like the Balin skull lights, the blaster bolt deflecting, that was like that was awesome. And then there was a few other moments. The naivety of Sabine and the newness of Shin to kind of fighting other lightsaber combat people is evident when you see them duel, and like I like that entire duel between the two of them, and you can see that the standoff between the two of them is they're hesitating, and it really kind of digs deep into like where the characters' mindsets are, right? What I was critical about was mostly the duels with Ahsoka and Balin and Marrok. I thought there were a bit too many moments where they would just pause and kind of contemplate what their next move would be. And it just brought me back to that duel between Maul and Obi-Wan, and how
me too.
the samurai aspect of like trying to figure out what the opponent's next move is going to be really kind of tends to happen, I think, with, and Dave made a point of making that moment happen for that fight because these people know each other so well. Whereas in like these fights, these guys are strangers. Like Obi-Wan, like, Ahsoka's never fought Marrok. It's not like she's fought him like a ton of times. Like she's just had that one encounter with him on Corellia, and then with Balin, like they've never crossed lightsaber blades before. But there was a bit of
Sizing up though, because don't forget, people who are really experienced in martial arts like this, they can naturally pick up on other people, and if they do a certain stance, they can see how that person's going to react, and they can read that. So there's scenes where Ahsoka takes one stance, Balin takes one, and then she changes, and he changes, she changes back.
Yeah,
so kind of setting the stage, right, and reading each other, try to get the skill levels.
Yeah, that was the thing. Is like, and those two, I guess, were both trained in the Jedi arts, and I guess I get who knows about Marrok, right? Like he's supposed, like the Inquisitor is supposed to be fallen Jedi. Who knows if maybe he is or not? I mean, we saw all that green puff coming out of his chest.
We can get into that.
No, hold up. What do you guys? Okay, what do you guys think about the theory that he is Starkiller?
No.
Have you heard this theory?
Yeah, I'm a huge like big 2 thumbs down.
Yeah. Okay. I've heard the theory, and
I think that was proven when.
Well, I thought it was like a stretch. But yeah, okay, good.
Yeah,
because I heard that one and I was going, really, Starkiller? Like, I really like the games, dude, and he doesn't seem like this dude.
No,
like,
yeah.
To me, yeah.
I don't think they would disservice fans by turning Starkiller into such a measly siding character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
who it really was?
Yeah.
It was Mary
Jane. He was the apprentice, like, to freaking Darth Vader. Like, yeah, and now he's an Inquisitor. Like, that's
It'd be a needless name drop. There'd be nothing else out of it.
Exactly.
His entire character would be stripped at that point.
Exactly. I think
just destroyed at that point.
I have enough faith in the storytellers that they wouldn't waste that character like that. You know what I mean?
Okay, thank God, because I was thinking the same.
Yeah,
I'm like, there's no way. I've heard like conversations, that Dave Filoni has had, and this guy, he really gets it. So I'm going, there's no way that he's gonna do that. But I have a lot of friends that do think that dude was Starkiller, and I couldn't bring myself to it. So I'm glad that it's a shared opinion amongst us here.
Yeah,
people also thought it was Ezra Bridger, and I think we didn't know that wasn't the case.
And Kanan Jarrus.
Yeah, no way.
If we were to take it literally,
there's no way Ezra would go there.
No, yeah, there's no way. But like, if we were to take it literally, like the guy was, I think he was voiced by Sam Witwer. So like, I guess if we were to get technical, like
voiced,
yeah, like. Yeah, his little like
Yeah.
his 2 lines of dialogue. Like, yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. I think like then okay, it's all right. Technically, all right, maybe he's like. I guess if you think of Sam Witwer as a real life Star Killer, then like I guess maybe that's.
But
how it
then
works,
maybe it's
but-
Darth Maul. Darth Maul got brought back.
You know why
Yeah.
they probably brought him in? I bet you a million to one. It was just like, hey, you did this voice. Did you want to do it just so that you're in the actual show? And he's probably like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
All right, you only get 2 words though.
Oh,
But there you go.
I
You get 2 words, but there you go.
it's probably him asking Dave to be in the show. That's kind of the relationship that I got
That's
from the
true
behind
too.
the scenes.
I'm gonna quickly touch up on something I was just about to drop with the lightsaber thing, and then I'll give you my theory on Marrok. But with the lightsaber thing, they've been doing all these duels as we've started to see from the Force Awakens onwards. Every single production they've done, they've used these LED, almost like what you would kind of what we would get from you, like Kyle, just like a lightsaber with LED strip in it or whatever, right?
Oh,
And like,
I just got connected with a stunt person from Star Wars, and so yeah, let's see where that goes. You actually might see some of ours in Star Wars at some point.
oh,
That'd be
there-
cool.
there
So
you go.
that's a whole other discussion, but there you go, man. So yeah, they basically are the type that we sell. So yeah.
Yeah, so like
Cool.
with that is added like a whole lot of extra weight, right? And like as we know from the prequels, like they just made the hilt and they slotted this like rod.
It was like a stick.
It was like a stick,
Green
yeah.
stone
And
stick.
so
Yeah.
like they were able to fling those things around so much faster than they could with like these. All of a sudden now you got batteries and you have lights and wiring and stuff like that, circuit boards all in your blade, and plus your blade is now like thick and it's got some weight to it, right? So I think that's also affected how they can choreograph these fights. Like they just can't make them as blitzy as they were in the prequels, just
Right.
because of the way that they're shooting it.
Similar to how in A New Hope they had some mechanical rig of rotating mirrors.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
then
yeah.
they had to be really dainty.
Yeah. Well, and eventually they resorted to sticks by Return of the Jedi. They had
Yeah,
sticks on
because
that
the
one.
mirror
but-
thing sucked.
Yeah,
Just kept
mirror
breaking.
thing. Yeah, it was like they eventually resorted to reflecting. There was like a reflected material on a rod, but it was the same idea as the prequels, where it's just like a stick, right? But I think that might have something to do with it. As far as the Marrok thing goes, I heard some great theories just yesterday. We hosted just a bit of a test sort of thing on Spaces, and we had a few people drop in. So it was if anyone's following us on Twitter, you can listen to that, sort of consider it a bonus episode. But we had one of our friends, Shauna, was she popped in and gave her theory, and I've seen the theory floating around that Marrok is sort of a resurrected sort of corpse from the Night Sisters, using the magic of Morgan Elsbeth, as a Night Sister descendant. Maybe she pulled some Mother Talzin style witchcraft and brought someone back from the dead. And, so what we're seeing is possibly, the green sort of magic leaving his body, similar to how we saw Savage Opress die in the Clone Wars, and the same thing happened, and that he shriveled up and shrunk down to his normal sized body again, right?
There's definitely some sort of
And Marrok
Sith
was shrinking
alchemy.
too. Yeah, Marrok was kind of like he sort of shriveled up into a bony little creature in the suit or whatever. And it's tough to say like what exactly is going on there, because like it also doesn't look like it's magical. It looks a lot more kind of biological, if anything.
The green mist, you mean?
The green mist, yeah. It almost.
Well, it looks.
I feel like
looks
if it was magic, I feel like it would have played up to be a bit more kind of glowing,
Ghostly
and
or something.
neon. Yeah, more kind of like Night Sistery, right? But
So basically, now you're throwing, because that's what I assumed it was.
I'm not throwing it under
she's-
the bus.
She's a
I-
Night Sister.
I think it's a really good theory. I'm just saying, like, I'm just kind of treating that one with a bit of hesitancy.
because that's
But-
where I went immediately. Was she's a Night Sister, and this guy dies. A puff of green comes out. Savage Opress. So this person's either been buffed up,
Yeah.
with Night Sister magic, or resurrected with Night Sister magic. Because we've seen undead
Yeah.
risen, right? Because isn't it? It's the battle with the battle with General Grievous. Mother Talzin brings back all the undead Night Sisters
Yeah.
to fight for them.
Right.
So the question is, when they die, do they puff green too?
As far as I remember, they did from the cartoon.
That's my guess.
it
is
was
they
like
did as well.
like
Yeah.
leaking out. Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's possible. I mean, like,
and it was. I mean, they're going to try and make it look real for live action. So my guess would be, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it, yeah.
It'd be weird that they just add some alien like species that spews out green stuff when they die. So I feel like it's more likely to be Night Sister magic.
Maybe he's one of those mossy guys, like we saw in Mandalorian season 3. There was like a captain of a ship, and is like a mossy,
The Moss Pirate.
the Moss Pirate Lord. Yeah.
No, well,
I don't know,
but
man.
he died too. Yeah, that's.
Well, not the
Yeah,
same
I
guy.
don't
It's
know
like a
on that
different,
one, man.
different
No, but
species.
that's still a stretch.
Different species. Maybe.
Yeah,
it was,
that's a big one.
It is a big one. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, like, I'm kind of curious to know more about this character. It's almost a shame that he's dead, but or is he? Who knows? But like we'll I guess we'll find out. But yeah, he's the kind of character that I'd like to see more of, because I like these mysterious characters that pop up in Star Wars. You know, like it's nice, it's refreshing to get away from just kind of characters that we already have a love for and appreciate, like Starkiller. You know, it's just like, it's like, why can't Marrok just be Marrok? You know, now I know. Now I want to know what he was before he became an Inquisitor, like, or is he even an Inquisitor at all? Is like, because his suit's kind of rusted, like whatever. Right?
That's why I think. I mean, I would think it'd be cool personally, instead of just being some Inquisitor that somehow survived past Return of the Jedi, which doesn't make sense to me to begin with. Someone who died, like specifically an Inquisitor who died, maybe on Dathomir, and then was resurrected later.
Yeah,
that to me, and then that's why he's not affiliated directly with the Empire,
right?
Because they're kind of like this rogue splinter cell trying to bring back the Empire.
Oh, okay. I love that, but I would switch one thing just for me, just to make it way more kind of interesting for me. I would have it as one of the Jedi that were killed during Order 66 or something like that, and it was close to, or wherever, that there was a couple of the witches, and they brought back that one to be their protector and fight for them or something, and it kind of progressed into becoming an Inquisitor.
Right. Yeah, that'd be
kind of cool.
Who would it be? Plo Koon.
Yeah.
Hey, he does have a full face mask. He does have a full, yeah.
I do love the idea that there's a guy out there, he's the last Inquisitor. You know, like the Empire's gone. There's still some rogue Inquisitor out there hunting a Jedi that he's been assigned to hunt. He's been living on the road for so long.
It's just weird that
Empire
he
gets
never would
dissolved.
have. Why is he not going after Luke then for the entire original trilogy?
Well, maybe he was. Maybe he
He's
had
that incompetent.
Maybe he had, like, I guess so, right? Like, who knows? I mean, like, these guys were
just
active.
kept missing him.
There's always one
watch
planet
it be like
behind.
Highlander rules, dude. Watch it be Highlander rules. He's got to take out the low ones before he goes for Luke, man.
Yeah. I mean, like here's the thing though, right? Like Emperor Palpatine's such a greedy kind of like, I get it or no one does kind of guy, right? So like maybe he had this guy, maybe he wasn't hunting Jedi anymore. Maybe he was hunting just force sensitive people. You know, he just had them on the outer rim, kind of floating around out there, just doing his bidding, just killing force sensitives, like just wherever he went, you know? Like that could have been something.
I love all these series.
I want to get let's get a Marrok
This is
movie.
one thing I love about Star Wars, man, is that until it's put in canon or put, on film or whatever, there's so many theories of what could be.
Yeah.
And Ryan
I
Johnson
love that.
hated that.
Ryan Johnson?
Yeah, that's why the twist was nothing, because he couldn't be bothered to try to outdo everyone online.
His tweet about Mike Zero.
Oh man.
Mike Zero is a zero. What did he say?
I think he said he is a zero or something.
He is a zero.
I can't remember.
Yeah, some fan asked Ryan Johnson about Mike Zero. Oh man, Mike Zero. Gotta love the guy. So okay, who has anything else to bring up about this episode here?
Okay, I want to bring up one thing. Okay, Paul Lee's in this episode, right? And I love how he's a Canadian. He's in this Star Wars stuff. He's one of the coolest guys I've ever met. He's part of the 501 Canadian garrison out of Ontario. And he sometimes goes to, shows, and he dresses up in the 501 and everything. He actually did an unboxing video of our Darth Vader saber on his personal YouTube. And and his last words were, "This is gorgeous, just gorgeous." So that was like a big thank you to him. But I love it when he kind of pops up and I don't know he's gonna be there.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
like,
oh fuck, there's Paul right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Every show.
So for me, every time, dude, every time.
Every time. I absolutely love him in Kim's Convenience. Such a great show.
Oh, exactly. See, and to have a Canadian that's not just Darth, somebody that's just this nice dude, gets to pop in on how many different, series is now. Like the guy's just a super nice guy.
They got to do something
And
more with them. I think everyone loves him as a character.
Oh, yeah.
Got to give him more of a storyline here.
Definitely. Yeah.
He definitely needs one.
I bet he would have.
Let's be real.
Rangers of the New
Yeah,
Republic.
that.
Yeah. It's a shame that show got shelved.
Dude, us as Canadians, we got to band together. Let's get this. Let's get some signatures.
Save Rangers.
Let's send it to Dave Filoni and be like, you need to make this Canadian his own show.
Yeah.
Got to do it. It's time.
Hashtag
There you
Save
go.
Rangers of the New Republic. Dan, I'm giving you
Yeah,
the
there you
job
go.
for PR on that.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. But yeah, that's the last I wanted to bring up. The episode was amazing. Thank you for having me down here. Like, yeah, this is very interesting. The podcast stuff.
Oh yeah, no, anytime. I mean, thanks for coming on. I got to ask you, Dan, anything you want to bring up before you give this episode some Pablo points of pooders?
Maybe the only thing is, why did Hera bring her little son into battle?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Wait, yeah.
As much as I like seeing Jason, like, do you bring him into battle? Like,
oh yeah, it's not cool. Not cool, man.
and I was hoping to see Zeb. Like, we saw the other guy that we were just talking about. Like, I was hoping to see Zeb, but
Yeah, I didn't think we haven't seen Zeb yet. What the
I
heck?
know at some point in the show, I'm hoping that all of the remaining Rebels cast just gets a shot together. You know what I mean?
because we saw him in Mandalorian,
Yeah.
on that one planet. But
yeah, he's a ranger.
I get it. He's probably expensive. He's
Maybe.
fully CG.
He is. Yeah. One shot. That's all we want, Dave. One shot.
Wow.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
I
just
want more
one
than
shot.
that.
Yeah, we just gotta have
I'll take one shot.
we just gotta have Hera, Jason, Sabine, Ahsoka, kind of all in one scene, which I feel like we've had, other than the kid. We've had all of them in the scene, right? With Chopper.
And apparently, there's a photo of Kanan on the dash.
There is.
the Ghost.
Yeah, there is.
You have to really
cool.
zoom in to see it.
We just need them all in the cockpit of the Ghost, and then just Zeb kind of walks through the door, and Ezra. We need Ezra
Do
in
you
there
want-
too.
Force Ghost Kanan?
Force good. No, the picture's good.
Because it wouldn't make sense for him to be a Force Ghost, right? Because
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't make sense.
he didn't go through the training.
Now that'd be a little cheesy. I think if they all if they all got together and then all of a sudden it's just like Kanan shows up. They're like,
So what is the deal to be a Force Ghost? You have to be trained to do it. It's like a special.
It's like an
you also
honor.
have to be trained to see it, right? Remember from Obi, he wasn't ready.
Yeah, that's
he had
right.
to see it when he was ready. So it's not only just from the one side; it's from the other.
yeah.
So Qui-Gon never had the training. That's why he never showed up.
Qui-Gon.
No, Qui-Gon, I guess had the training, right? Because remember, he did say at the end of Obi, he's like, "Oh, finally,
Right.
you're able to see me."
He also,
so it was on Obi.
He also
Oh, that's right, that's
he,
right.
He did also say in Clone Wars though, when he was talking to Yoda, when he couldn't present his body, he said, "My training is incomplete." To Yoda, he showed up as like a bunch of little glowing, like firefly looking things, right?
Oh yeah.
So I think it is a two-sided thing. I think you're onto something with that. What I'd also like to add on top of that theory,
That's
'cause
also funny because that means that Vader died, came back like an hour later as a Force Ghost. Just like, boom.
yeah.
Well, he is really powerful though.
I mean, he's the chosen one, right? Like,
Yeah,
I think there's
that's
an
true.
exception for him, but I think what I'd like to throw out there as a theory is that the perception of how these people show up as Force ghosts are completely dependent on sort of the person who's seeing them, right? So like if Ahsoka looks at Anakin, she would remember him in his black tunic, in that form, right? And then if Luke looks at Obi-Wan and Yoda, like he remembers them as the way that they looked when they died.
But he never saw Anakin when Anakin was 25.
He didn't know, and that's kind of the one loophole that's like, but I don't know.
Yeah, at the end of Return, hell yeah.
I mean,
That one, I watched it. I'm like, dude, why wasn't it the original guy? They had him in there.
They did. They
Like I
swapped him out.
love Hayden, man, but what the hell?
Well,
The
I will
poor
say
actor.
maybe George was
Yeah.
pre-planning because he knew he was going to make sequels down the road, and this is where we're at now, right? So Hayden's here, we can still use him. Can't use the original actor.
Yeah. No, it's. I mean, I do like the idea though that Hayden, that Anakin is kind of restored to his former glory. I think like there's sort of an
The poor
idea.
Obi-Wan's gonna be an old man forever.
Old man.
Alec Guinness
Oh, yeah.
represent.
Totally.
So I heard a line. I don't know if you caught it, but what's the guy's name? Balin.
Balin?
Thank you. Balin is talking to Sabine. This is after Ahsoka's been kicked over the edge, and he says that Sabine has no family left. That's why she wants Ezra back so badly.
Yeah, Ezra. Yeah,
So
that's
her
right.
parents are dead,
Yeah,
and her
they all
brother is
died on
dead.
Mandalore.
That's
Yeah.
right.
That's right. Yeah, we didn't. Yeah. Right. That was a pretty crazy.
So does that mean, I'm just speculating here, but do you think they died during the purge?
It's certainly possible. I think maybe there is a line between, Dave is because we know that the purge happened after the Star Wars Rebels arc, the handoff of the Darksaber to Bo-Katan on Sabine's behalf, and then she, there's a bunch there, right? There's a bunch going on there as far as lore goes. I think Balin is referencing the Night of a Thousand Tears.
I think that's the only time that makes sense, because when we left Rebels, her family was alive, and it was before the fall of Mandalore. In fact, they were succeeding in taking Mandalore back.
Right.
And then when we cut into Mandalorian season one or two, whatever, I think it's season 1.
Yeah.
No, it's whatever it is. And we find out that Mandalore is completely fallen, is a barren wasteland, and the Empire has just looted it for its Beskar.
Right. It's the only thing that makes sense that he is talking about the Night of a Thousand Tears.
So I find that very interesting. And she survived because she was a protectorate of Lothal,
Yeah.
so that the Empire
yes.
wouldn't return after the end of Rebels.
Exactly, because she's been hanging out on Lothal this entire time because Ezra has disappeared and she's been there in his place.
And she self-pities herself for not being able to help her family.
Yeah.
And that's why she's desperate to get Ezra back.
That's right.
Which is the only reason why she goes along with Balin at the end of this episode. So I thought that was very interesting.
That is interesting. That's a big character motive.
Massive character motive.
Yeah.
And I would love to get more detail on and confirmation of this is what happened.
Right.
Hopefully that comes in the following episodes.
Yeah, hopefully.
I just found it was interesting that Ahsoka has been someone who has, since she was a teenager, always dueled with 2 lightsabers, and then both duels and this she only used 1. Did you notice that?
In the major duels, yeah.
Yes. And does that have something to do with the form that she's using, I guess?
Maybe, but it's weird that this would be the
I don't
only
know.
time she's ever done that.
She held it like a katana. Every
She
other
did.
time she held it more what the hell is it called? I forget the name of it, but she held it differently. But when she held it in these ones as a two-handed, she went full katana on that.
She did, yeah.
Like, look at those old masters.
Because I got, yeah, exactly, very samurai vibes from all of her stances in this episode for both duels.
Yeah.
So that caught my eye. And then I thought so you're probably the right person to talk to, Kyle, about this. So the hilt that she's using in this, when she has both hands on it, is curved.
Yeah.
But she's holding it, or the curve is in the opposite direction I would expect. So she's holding it. I would think you'd want to hold a curved saber similar to Dooku, where it kind of curves with the palm of your hand. But instead she holds it where the curve is pointed towards herself.
Right.
Okay. I love how you said that. Hey, maybe you can answer this. That has to do with either what sort of martial arts she's using or anything. I do have that lightsaber. It's called our Falcorum. But I don't know why she held it backwards like that. Because you are right.
So
I figured that she would have held it away.
Okay,
yeah, to me it was backwards.
That was so weird.
I've seen Dooku hold it backwards as well. So like when he points it at somebody, he holds it with the curve facing away from him.
That's the correct way. That's the correct way.
I've seen him also
curve facing away. Yeah.
But then you're saying like she held it with the curve facing inwards to her
Towards
body.
That's
her.
right.
So I think maybe what they're trying to do is kind of treat it like a what's it called, like a scimitar or something.
You still go the other way.
Or like
Wait, I know
That's the
I know
blade,
this. I
though.
know the
Scimitar.
blade that you're talking about, a scimitar. Yeah, I know that one.
right.
A scimitar still has its curve one way, but nobody's ever going to hold a scimitar with the curve of the hilt towards you. That because then you have the big end of the blade actually coming towards you. That to me, I don't know why they did that.
I wondered if it was a mistake on the actress's part.
That's my guess, dude. Let's be real. Because any other form of fighting that you ever see, like that, the way she's holding it, think of it as an actual sword, okay? Most swords aren't double-sided. They're one-sided.
Mm-hmm.
Especially ones that are held in the manners that she's fighting. So if she's holding a sword and now all of a sudden it's curved towards her, that's basically the sharp end going towards her face. All you have to do is hit that with a baseball bat, and it's going to
That's
right
right,
into her
yeah,
face.
because just the way you hold it, it's going to have a natural point towards yourself because the arc.
Yeah. So to me, I didn't understand that either when I saw that.
I checked through
I
the
just
fight.
figured it was a Star Wars thing.
I checked through the fight, and she consistently holds it backwards the entire time.
The
So it wasn't
one that
even like
I've seen
different
her
takes,
holding
like a
her right
mistake or
hand is
anything.
backwards.
Yeah. Maybe.
And it's got to be a Star Wars thing that I just don't understand yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know actually. Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Anyway,
Can I say one last thing before we end off this thing?
Yeah, sure.
Because I know my girlfriend's going to end up listening to this. She's a partner in this. Now, because she looked at Chopper and was like, I don't like this droid. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't like this droid? She goes, yeah, I don't like him. He's like a cartoon. He shouldn't be in this. And then I go, he is from a cartoon. And she's just like, yeah, I still don't like him. He shouldn't be in this. So what's your takes on Chopper, man?
Oh, I love it.
Let's end on Chopper.
I love Chopper.
I thought he wasn't
Chopper's
cartoonish
the
enough.
best.
Chopper's just he's just a grumpy old droid. I mean, like, you know, he's very animated in personality, but it translates very well with you know, into a droid, right? Like, I mean, I don't want droids all to be just like R2-D2. Like, it's kind of nice to see some of them as like
Exactly.
just like the way that he
have
plays
their
up.
personality.
Yeah, like when Hera asks him where the tracker is, he's like a grumpy old man, like trying to like, did you rummage through my drawer of stuff? Like,
exactly, right?
I liked it a lot.
He's like my grandpa with the toolbox, man.
Yeah.
You went through this, and I know you did.
Yeah, it's like, did you look in my sock drawer?
I wonder if that's because we all watched Rebels though, so we're familiar with him.
Yeah, that's okay. That's fair.
Yeah, maybe. We're just used to the character, but yeah.
I will say my one complaint is because I think he's practical from what I could tell, is he moves a little bit too slow compared to the animated show. Whereas I feel like, especially with his the arms come out of his head, they feel awkwardly slow.
Oh yeah.
Where I think in the animated show he was always very quick and elaborate with them.
Yeah, that's fair. Pablo points or poodoos. Let's end off with our rating system on the podcast. So to all who are new, we have a score out of it's basically a scale of 7. So 3 Pablo poodoos is the worst of the worst. Moving up from there, you got 2 Pablo poodoos, 1 Pablo poodoo, and then a bendu. A bendu is a 50% score. That's like the one in the middle. And then you got Pablo points. You got 1 Pablo point, 2 Pablo points, and then 3 Pablo points being the best of the best of the best. So maybe we can start with you, Blake. What do you award this episode?
I actually enjoyed this episode quite a bit. I felt like it started off nice and slow. I love the design of this planet, so I was already endeared. And then the transition directly into the fun duels we got, and I felt like there was also enough story going on that this episode had kind of all the pieces.
Yeah.
So I would give it, I'm going to say 2 1/4.
That's exactly what I was going to give it.
Oh, no way. Down to the quarter?
It is down to the quarter. Down 2.25. All right, Dan, what do you give this episode?
I give it a 2. It was a solid episode. Really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Solid 2. Awesome.
Happy.
Right. Kyle, what's your feelings on this one?
Oh man, at least 2.5. Let's be real. I like, again, I'm the lightsaber battle one. I'm the one that's staring at the intricacy of the lightsabers when they show them clearly and stuff, so that I can replicate them. But to me, yeah, 2.5 at least. The lightsaber battles took that one for me.
Awesome. And Kyle, I want to end off with your socials. Your people looking for a lightsaber. You know, what are the ways that they can look that up for you? And
maybe which of these sabers from this episode you're gonna make next.
When do we get Shin and Balin?
Ooh. You might actually be surprised. I might be able to show you some photos, but you got to keep this just between us for now. But let me send you a couple of photos of stuff we have coming up. Oh yeah, it's recorded.
Sounds good.
Let me show you a couple things we have coming up. Ways to reach us is www.alkysolutions.com, or you can check us out on Etsy. We have 5 stars across the board with shipping around the world. And if you get anything that's over $150, we will ship it to you for free. So check that out. Thank you guys so much again for having us on here. And I absolutely love talking Star Wars. So I am back anytime you need.
Oh, and I mean, anytime you want to pop on again, Kyle, you're always welcome back on, and we'll have you guys on in the near future to talk about sabers and just how lightsabers are being used these days in as a sport, for fencing purposes, so on and so forth, for stunts, for collecting, for showcasing, for so many things. And maybe I'm sure you have a variety of stories to share with us as well. With all the conventions you've been to nowadays, so I'm really looking forward to that, and we'll probably get around to doing that after Ahsoka finishes up. But in the meantime, feel free to pop on whenever. So thanks for coming on.
Oh, thank you. It was really an enjoyable time. I enjoyed this entire thing, so thank you.
Awesome, great to hear from you, Kyle. And Dan, thank you so much for joining us again. And we're hoping to get you on, I guess, next week if you can make it. So, and then you're on a bit of a break for a little bit. So, thanks for coming back on, man.
Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Always. And to you, Blake, good trusty co-pilot here in the escape pod. Any last words?
It was good chatting with you guys. I had a lot of fun in this episode. And look forward to doing it again.
Fantastic.
Until then, we'll see you out there. Keep flying.
All right. Thank you all for tuning in, for listening to the podcast. And if you could throw us down to 5 stars, that would be absolutely amazing. As you know, we are completely ad-free, unmonetized, and no zero profits come out of this. We do this because we love Star Wars, and it just helps other fans find the podcast by giving us a good, healthy 5 stars. So if you want to help us out, that would be great. And you can also send this podcast to a friend by sharing the link, any of the links in the bottom of any podcast episode. We got a number down there. We got the Discord. We got the link tree. There's a variety of ways to contact us at the Escape Pod using the handle at SW Escape Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, as well as you can find us on YouTube with the handle on there as well. After every single podcast episode drops, you'll normally get a YouTube version popping out the next day. So be sure to look for that. You can subscribe to us on YouTube. And we look forward to doing the rest of our Rebels Talk series coming up at you very soon, as well as more Ahsoka Aftershows in the coming weeks. May the Force be with you, and we'll see you in the next episode of Star Wars Escape Pod.